Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Hannah Borses, and today I have such a cool guest. I have Andy Borses with me today. I met him at Dealmaker Live this past, what was that, early June, I believe. Andy, welcome to the show. I am so excited.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. It was amazing meeting you at Dealmaker Live.
You are so sweet. I am blushing, everyone. Okay, Andy, tell everyone who you are. Everyone, get ready. Listen to this.
Well, my former life, as you can tell from my background, is I'm a TV and movie technical director. So that means that anything that goes into a production, I am kind of the bottom line that gets yelled at by the producer director. So I've worked on some small movies, as you and I talked about, like The Abyss and Titanic, and a couple of others like Terminator 2. And but about 3.5 years ago, and look, that's a great business to be in, right? It was my dream as a kid when I first dreamt about what I wanted to do with my life. I used to take the TV apart to find out where the people were coming from. That really made
Oh,
my dad happy, by
that
the way.
is so cute. I
He was
bet it
not
did.
he was not happy at all. So sometimes you're just born with knowing what your dream is, and then your dream shifts, right?
Hmm.
So when COVID hit and Hollywood kind of shut down for a while, my wife and I pivoted because our business shut down too. And we're like, well, we always thought we'd talk about real estate. And here we are 3.5, 4 years later, and I'm talking to you, meeting you at Dealmaker Live, right?
Yay.
Because I'm like, yeah, if I can get to the point in my career where I could produce my own movies and have my own income by doing that and do what I really want to do, that, and also, this is about giving back too,
Right.
right? But really, that's really the thing about what I'm here to create, right? So, and meeting you is one of those amazing moments in chance, right? Uh,
Absolutely. This has
yeah.
been like just the coolest thing ever. So tell us what you do with real estate since you have shifted your financial goals, your jobs. Tell me what you do now with real estate.
So what we started out with was we started out with triplexes and duplexes, and we were horrible at it. It took us 9 months to get out of our own way because I could tell you how to make a movie. I couldn't tell you what an ARV was. I thought that there was
Okay.
something that I thought when they said ARV, I said, yeah, I got a couple of those in my garage. So what we do now is we have graduated, and I think what most people need to know is that it's an education, right? You just don't jump in because you will not succeed, and you have to have a mentor on this journey to do that. So we started in 2 to 4. We made all our mistakes in 2 to 4 because you will,
Right.
right? Um, and there's a lot of good moments. There's a lot of pain. I could tell you about the bipolar drug addict we had, kind of all those fun things that you
Yeah.
go
No
through,
fun
right?
there.
And but then I made a decision. I drew a line in the sand and said, if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to start investing in apartment buildings and bringing people along with me on that journey. And so now we've joint ventured, or we GP'd between joint venture and GP. I think we have 172 doors.
Wow.
So I pinch myself every day because I'm like, 3.5 years ago, I couldn't tell you what an ARV was.
That's really, really spectacular. How did you go from the two doors and the fourplexes to this big, massive amount? I realized you said you were going to work hard, but specifically, what did you do? Did you join a group? Did you make friends with people? Like, what did you do to catapult yourself to where you are now?
So we joined a mentorship program, which I think everybody should do. You can't do this on your own. You
Okay.
just can't. And yes, they cost money and there's all that. But what we did was we joined a mentorship program, and we followed they were people that came before us that are retired in their 40s. So who am I to
Wow.
argue about that?
Right.
Right.
Wow. How did you
So
pick a mentorship that fit you and your personality and your budget? I mean, I've been looking into them and they range from 10 grand to $90,000 per
right.
person. So how did you pick one that fits you and your wife?
Well, my wife picked. I
Gotcha.
went and did all the research.
Okay.
We interviewed all of these people together, and some of them hit a certain nerve with me, some of them hit a certain nerve with her, but really I was still kind of working freelance,
Okay.
so I still had a gig. And this was really for her being, who knew when her business was ever going to come to be again, right?
Right.
So this, she had to be comfortable with the people that we were picking. And I stumbled upon Jen and Stacy Conkey and Remote Family Academy. I stumbled there back then, they were called Warriors of Wealth, but I just happened to be on Facebook one morning working out on my elliptical in front of the TV during COVID,
Hmm.
because we moved all our gym equipment into the living room.
That's awesome.
And I said, hey, we should really check these two women out. I think that you will resonate with them. So it was really a matter of us interviewing them as much as we were interviewing all these other people. And there were people from bigger pockets. There were people and I'm not saying they weren't great mentors. It's just you have to
Right.
find the one person that resonates with you, or the mentorship that resonates with you. That's how.
So what specifically made you go with Jen and Stacy? I mean, what was that aha moment for you?
The aha moment was, everybody asks what your why is, right?
Okay.
Everybody will do that. Well, what's your why, right? But when I spoke to Jen was like, what is it you see that you can give back in the future when you do this? What is that vision in 5 years from now? Not just the why, but what can you do with that why, right? It was more about the heart.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's not, I mean, I've interviewed, I don't know, five or six, seven or eight by now, and that's not a question anyone asks me.
Yeah.
They typically say, how deep are your pockets? And then I'll tell you what level you fit into.
Right. But
That's spectacular.
they really wanted to know what our journey was. And besides the why, because we all have a why, right?
Right.
They really wanted to know what our heart was, because that's where their heart is.
So where is your heart? Where do y'all want to go with this?
Well, so, I was just talking to some people about this, and it's a long story, so I'm going to try to make it as short as I can. Is my mom was in an assisted living facility,
Okay.
and my thing was I always wanted to change how people retire, and I didn't have a path to do that, but I always knew that my wife and I always knew that we wanted to give back with older people, that instead of withering away at the vine, to actually thrive on the vine. And so to do that, you have to have money. You can
Correct.
volunteer, but to really make a difference takes money.
Hmm.
So that's really our mission. And, I've come to a point in my career now where I actually want to give back by actually showing other people how we did what we did to get here as well. So you go through all these different transitions of what you want to give back, because you can do all the trips, you can have the why, I want to go here, I want to do that,
Right.
but really it's really about the giving back part that my wife and I are on the journey of doing, is to be able to make a difference, right?
It is refreshing to hear your give back story. It's never the older community. My husband's grandmother is in, well, it's a nursing home, and it's so sad.
Yeah.
It is so sad. My mom at one point was an activities director of an assisted living facility, and it was fabulous. There was always arts and crafts and field trips. It was so
Mhm.
fun, but it was like 10 grand a month to live there. That's the average older person in that position doesn't have that. I 100% fully, wholeheartedly support this, and I would love to get in on it. I have always wanted to do something with the elderly because they have so much wisdom and so much knowledge. And I mean, the traditions and the recipes and the clothes, I mean, all that is from them.
Yeah.
And for people to just, like you said, let them wither on the vine, just it's heartbreaking. That's absolutely heartbreaking. What steps are y'all taking to make something like that happen?
Well, I keep talking about mentorship, right? Because you take,
Okay, yeah.
okay, so I won't talk about what this costs,
Okay.
but we're staying with Jen and Stacy because we're at a point now where we're called Centaurians. We've been with the program a while, and
Okay.
we're giving back to other people within that program, right? So that's the point
Right.
where we're at in our career. We still do coaching twice a week with them, because every time you get into a deal, every deal is different.
Right.
But we found something called RALA, which
Okay.
is the Residential Assisted Living Academy, which
Okay.
is now what we have graduated to a point where we're going to be mentored by people that have come before us that have run residential assisted living homes. So we'll learn from them from the ground up, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to learn so much more about this. But let's go ahead and pivot just a little bit from that. And I want to know, whenever you're outside of the assisted living, because that has its own little game inside of real estate, when you're looking for regular investment properties, what is your buy box? What is your criteria? What do you look for in a property?
Well, um, we started out small, 14 units, right?
Okay.
And most of that was mostly value add, right? We were looking for value. But when we started, interest rates were lower,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So then what we're looking for now, our buy box is really obviously landlord friendly states,
Right.
obviously, right? We're looking for anything from 96 unit up, okay? But what we pivoted to, and what I think most people should be really looking at, and I'm giving away my secret sauce here, is
Do
um,
it. Tell us.
um, seller financing.
Right. That's hot right now.
That's hot right now because unfortunately there's a lot of people that are going to be in pain or are in pain. But our buybacks really is to keep the seller in the deal if we can,
Hmm.
right? Even though it's seller financing, they are in the deal. But like for instance, we closed on a 96 unit apartment at the end of March. The seller is still in that deal because he knew the property management company, he knew the
Right.
organization itself, he knew, and people usually either stay in it, they don't, or seller financing, they'll do it and they won't have anything to do with the property after that. So our philosophy is if the person that came before us really knew how to run the business, let's build on that.
That makes sense.
So yeah.
Whenever you talk about your red states, do you find any areas particularly appealing within those red states?
Well, I'll give away my secret sauce
Oh
again.
my gosh.
There are some really good places that are coming up. You have to follow where the big box stores are going. You have to follow where the companies that are putting in, Samsung is putting in a major something somewhere, right? I'm not going to
Okay.
retell it, but
Yep. Gotcha.
there's a lot happening in Texas. Let's just say
Right.
that,
Correct.
right?
Texas is flaming hot.
It's flaming hot. It's a little overpriced. So that's why you need to. One of the things in my buy box is always, 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 if you can, get pocket listings. Always,
Okay.
right?
And by
Get.
doing those, is this like contacting brokers? Is this making friends with people in those areas? How are you doing that? For the people who don't know how to do that, how are you getting pocket listings?
So the other secret sauce, and I keep seeing secret sauces. Nobody took nobody took us seriously until we started actually putting in offers. And
Okay.
then once you start that, and the brokers know you're serious, then they'll give you the underlying stuff that they're not putting
Gotcha.
out on Crexy or LoopNet.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard that before, but the only way that we were taken serious is when we actually started making offers.
Okay, that makes complete sense. Whenever you're making those offers, like, and I'm sure because these are larger units, you're not
Mhm.
personally managing them, are you?
No, so we part of the buy box that we have is we build teams in those areas. So we just
Okay,
bought this 96 unit in Northern Kentucky. Nobody would ever think of looking in Northern Kentucky, right? Because nobody
right.
knows like what's in Northern Kentucky. But you
Not
have to
much.
look at those areas and say, what's the potential of that area?
Hmm.
Right. So I'm going to go off sidetrack here a little bit, but there's the University of Northern Kentucky and there's the University of Cincinnati because Cincinnati's
Right
right on
there.
that border,
Hmm.
right? So
Yes.
what kind of what DHL was attracted to that area, so is FedEx. So when you start doing your market research and you understand why companies like DHL and FedEx are drawn to these places, that's everything that goes into talking to brokers. So you understand, you have that script already in place. It's like, hey, I understand FedEx and DHL is coming in here. What do you have that you're not listing? Or what do you
Ah,
have in your back pocket? So things like that. Yeah.
how are you following these trends? Besides Googling where is FedEx going, are there any websites or people that you talk to find out where the market trends are going?
You have to, honestly, you have to follow. I'm going to say this and I'm going to regret saying this. I listen to Bloomberg every day. I don't really listen to
Okay.
news. I don't go to the negative side. I don't do that. Right. So I'll
Okay.
listen to Bloomberg news. I'll see what the gurus in our world are talking about. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if you've heard the name Neil Bawa,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So
He
I
was doom
follow.
and gloom at Deal Breaker. He terrified me, by the way. He did. He scared me.
He does that, but at the same point, he's some of the predictions he's made have been dead on,
Yeah,
like Texas and Arizona. Like 3 years
correct.
ago when I started following that man, those were the two markets and they became true.
And
So
they're very hard to get into now because just the
mhm.
pricing is insane.
So you just have to be on your what I would get into the news feeds, not the garbage news feeds, but the real
Right,
news feeds that talk about where's Tesla going, where's Target going, where's Costco going, where's the companies that are making the batteries going, where are they putting the plants in, right? That's what I would look at. Vegas is coming back big time.
I've heard a lot about Reno. They have a Tesla plant out that way. And
Yeah.
I was like, something to think about.
So, but northern Las Vegas is being rebuilt into they're rethinking the entire area of northern Las Vegas.
Okay.
So just things like that that you have to keep your. Also, my Facebook post is not all. A lot of my Facebook post has to do with what's coming.
Right,
You have to keep your finger on the pulse. Otherwise, you're just buying in areas that doesn't. They're not going to cash flow because they can't support raising the rent, right?
right,
So you need to be in a place that makes sense. That, like, I was looking at New Mexico, let's just say, because all the TV industry is moving there. Some of them are moving there because I'm in the business, right? So I heard
right,
about this. So Fox and a bunch of other places are building movie studios in New Mexico. Well, that's the only industry there.
right,
Is it going to be able to support building homes there, right? Or
right,
so those are the kind. Even though I got excited about that, but if that's the only thing happening there, does it make sense to go look there? So
right.
things like that, right?
Okay. How do you like whenever y'all want to, let's say you buy that 96 units or whatever, what was your plan structure to raise those rents? Since we all know that raising the rents is where the money comes from, how do you implement that? I mean, you can't just walk up and be like, hey, your rent's going up $400 a month. I mean, the average person can't handle that. So what is your structure for that?
So if it's a place like this 96 unit,
Mhm.
which was kind of a B property to begin with,
Okay.
what we've been doing is, for instance, the place had no Wi-Fi, right?
Oh,
So we called the local company and they're putting Wi-Fi in.
okay.
Okay. So that's a value add.
Correct.
So the company is charging us a certain amount and then we get to charge the renters a certain amount. And who's not going to want to agree to have fiber in their houses?
Correct.
So this is literally Wi-Fi and fiber. So stuff like that, right? We're putting in extra laundry facilities in there, so we'll have that. So it's not like we're raising their rent; we're adding value to what they already
Yeah.
have, right? And if we actually have to rehab something, or we have to, if somebody's moving out and they're we're at 100%, like we are there,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
So, but if somebody's moving out, we'll go in and obviously we'll rehab that unit to whatever we need to get it to market rent at that point.
Right.
That's just that example. We have another place in Tampa that was a whole value add that we had to add to, right? So the property had a bad reputation. So we had to hire a new property manager. We had to rehab all the units. So while we were doing that, we would put people up in hotels and then show them what we did. And if they wanted to stay with more rent, they stayed. And
Wow.
a good percentage of them stayed because we redid their entire apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want something new?
Yeah.
So how do you manage risk in your portfolio? Because interest rates, things break. Like, what do you do to manage your risk?
These are all great questions. And you didn't even send me these questions before
I'm
we started
trying
talking.
this time.
So we always raise more capital than we need.
Okay.
And we make that very clear when we're raising capital. that we don't want to do, that capital call. I've had one, they suck.
Yeah, they're
On
terrible.
another, on properties I did not own, but I invested in, and they suck.
Gotcha.
So our thing is we go in and we do all of our underwriting very conservatively.
Okay.
Okay. So incredibly conservative in how we underwrite our deals. And then we'll add another $100,000 or $200,000 to that. And if there's still room in there for a decent cash flow, then we'll go with it. Right.
Gotcha.
So we don't ever want to get caught with, oh my God, the boiler went out. We don't have
Hmm.
30 grand to fix it. That's not our strategy. So we mitigate risk by raising more than we need. Plus, as far as interest rates going up, everything that we've done is seller financing locked in.
Wow.
So it's locked in at the interest rate that they already had when we bought the property.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I know Brad and I have an 11 door apartment complex that we're looking to sell through seller financing. I've had quite a few bites. Nothing's set yet, but it's definitely more enticing than going to get a 9% interest rate. Another question. You keep talking about the value add. Are y'all more into the short term fix and flip? Or are you more into buy and hold? What is your strategy there?
Our strategy is 5 to 7 years, 5 to 7 years.
Okay, so
Only
what happened?
because, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, so I'll give you, for instance, so the property I've been talking about, this 96 unit, we bought
Hmm.
it for 7 point, I think it was 7.2 or 7.5. I don't remember because numbers start getting,
Yeah.
when we sell in 5 to 7 years, that property is going to be worth $14 million. So
Wow.
we have doubled our investors' money.
I'm certain they are very happy.
Yeah.
Wow. You
So
should be
we're
so proud of yourself. Well, I mean, and your team. I mean, that's wonderful.
sometimes it's not real. You have to pinch yourself, right? Because if you let yourself go there, sometimes it's like my friend said to me the other day, I know this is off the beaten path of what you asked me, but
No, go ahead.
my friend was like, I've known this guy for 10 years. He's always kind of watched my career, and he's him and I are in the industry together. And he wants to get into a couple of deals with me, but he's always been kind of hesitant until he saw what I was actually doing. And he said to me, dude, you're a millionaire. And I went, no, I'm not. He goes, dude, on paper, you're a millionaire. And I went, I am? Because sometimes it's just not real, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, you own it, but you
Yeah, I
know,
didn't think I would ever get to the point that I am at now. Like I still have my W-2. My husband still has his W-2. We run our portfolio in the evenings, and on paper, we're doing great.
yeah.
But other days, I'm like, I don't want to touch the thermostat because it's going to cost me more money. And it's like, wait, I can afford that, but it just kind of it's not real. Like you said, it's definitely not real. That's for sure.
So you
That's
got
for
to
sure.
stay, you got to stay really humble, right? Because I'm not, I'm not Brad Sumrock. I'm not Grant Cardone. I'm not even, I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm just me.
Is it hard to stay humble? I mean, you live in an area that is not necessarily poor. So is it hard to stay humble and to your roots in an area that you live in?
Well, you could thank my mama for that. Okay. I never bought into the Hollywood thing. Never.
Okay.
I'm, I'm very family grounded. So yeah, I like the Hollywood parties and I like the pomp and circumstance, but at the end of the day, I'm figuring out how to pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I've worked on some pretty freaking awesome stuff. I worked with Michael Jackson on the Thriller video. I've done stuff, but if you let your ego get in the way, it doesn't work. You have to stay humble.
That
Especially in
is
this business and what we're doing. It's uh, I'm like I said, I've never bought into Hollywood. I'm a family man.
all right, Andy. I have a question I want to ask you that I ask every single one of my guests. And that question is, how does mindset play a part of your daily life? For me, mindset is massively huge in whether I'm going to do something, whether I'm not going to do something, whether I'm going to continue pursuing real estate or my W-2 job. Tell me, how does mindset affect you?
So every day I wake up and before I started this journey, right?
Hmm.
I used to work graveyard
Okay.
in some places because you have to get up early to do these productions. So like you're up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you have to be, so your mindset is it's never about you, it's always about the production, right? So now that I've done this and I've switched gears in my life, and again, this takes a lot of mindset to stay in this game
Hmm.
because it's work. I don't care what any of the snake oil salesmen tell you, it's work,
It
right?
is.
There's a lot of stuff that comes that you have to really overcome to get to a
Hmm.
point where all of the gurus are today. And basically I still have my job, right? So I
Hmm.
wake up every morning and I follow the Tony Robbins thing. Okay.
I love him.
I do what's called make your move. And I'm not going
Okay.
to do it here, but we all have you I make my move in the morning, right? Whatever that is in the morning, I make my move. And I really get into a place where who I can help today get to the level I need to, whether that's my wife, my kids, one of my partners, a friend of mine who's looking to raise capital and they've come to me to ask me for help. It's like, what can I do in the world today that's going to make it better? Right. So I've
I
taken my eyes off of, whatever negative feelings I might have about not wanting to do the deed I need to do for myself by
right.
putting it on what I can do for other people.
That's amazing. So you have been wonderful. You have answered so many of my very tough questions. I've appreciated your time so much. I have three final questions that I ask everyone. It's my little fun little questions at the end. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first one is, what is something on your bucket list that you would like to accomplish soon?
Okay, so I'm going to be a little selfish on this one. I've been talking about helping other people and
That's
caring
right. You
about other
have.
people. I'm going to be really selfish. I've always had a dream to go to Greece and Italy. I've never been able to because we were poor growing up.
Y'all need to book a trip. It's time.
Yeah,
You need
next
to
year
do
we
that.
will.
You need to do that. Okay. Question number two. What is a skill that you have never learned but would like to?
Oh, that's a really good question, Hannah. I always wanted. I'm a graphic artist too. It's what I
Right.
do. But I always wanted to learn how to actually paint, like really
That's
paint.
You need to take painting classes. You can do that.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, you need to do that. Okay, my very last question. If you could go back in time and give your 18-year-old self advice, what would you tell yourself?
Get out of your own way.
Oh, explain. What do you mean?
When we're, especially men,
Hmm.
boys, young adult men, we have egos that are the size whatever planet you're talking about. Okay. And I had an ego then if I was to talk to that person and he was actually going to listen to me,
Hmm.
I would say get your ego out of the way and listen to advice from other people.
That's awesome. 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 Okay, Andy, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. I've genuinely appreciated it. One last thing. If
Yeah.
someone wanted to get in touch with you, do business, ask questions, whatnot, how do they get in touch with you?
My Facebook, Instagram, right? It's Andy
Okay.
Borses. They can check out the podcast on YouTube that we're doing, which you're coming on, right?
Yay.
Donut Shop Cop. That's on YouTube. My website, which is bycoastal.org, BUI coastal.
Catchy. I cannot thank you enough. I've seriously enjoyed speaking with you. I hope that our listeners have gained some nuggets of wisdom from you. Again, thank you so much. I hope everyone has a great day.
Bye.
Bye.